No, ma'am.
Okay, right. So we had started with breakdown in solids. Okay, so if you remember, this was the graph which I had told you, where we can differentiate between different types of breakdown taking place. Okay, right. Last class we had done with intrinsic breakdown, which covered electronic breakdown and streamer breakdown. Okay, we had seen what is your electromechanical breakdown. Okay, see, intrinsic covered, okay, avalanche or streamer breakdown and electronic breakdown. Okay, so these two we had done, and we had seen what is electromechanical breakdown, where our material should be reaching the equilibrium state. Okay, this was your electromechanical breakdown. Okay, any doubts up till here? Were there any doubts up till here last class? Was it clear what we had done up till last class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. So today we will start with the last one, which is my thermal breakdown. Okay, so see what we have done up till now. The breakdown voltage of a solid dielectric should increase with its thickness. Okay, what we have seen, or in general, this has to be occurring. Okay, so but this is true only up to a certain thickness, above which the heat generated in the dielectric due to the flow of current determines the conduction. Okay, so when an electric field is applied to a dielectric, conduction current, however small it may be, flows through a material. Okay, so this point, what we understand up till here. Okay, see, first thing is you need to understand that thermal breakdown. Okay, this is very important because most of the insulation failure in high voltage power apparatus, okay, is because of this thermal breakdown. Okay, so what I have done up till here, what I have written in these two sentences is that when you apply a high voltage, okay, when you apply a high voltage, what happens? It creates a field. Okay, so when the field is created, there is a small amount of conduction current. Okay, there is a small amount of conduction current flowing. So conduction current, when you have the flow of conduction current, right, because of the current, what happens to the temperature in the dielectric? Yes, if there is a
Increases.
conduction, the temperature increases. Okay, when you when the conduction current is increased, okay, the temperature increases. Okay, you all are aware of this, right? This is a logic. Okay, you all are aware of this, right? What does this statement say? Therefore, this statement says when you apply an electric field, because of the electric field you have conduction current flowing. Because of this conduction current, right, see, the current conduction current heats up the specimen and the temperature rises. Okay, fine up till here.
Yes, ma'am.
So when the temperature rises, what happens? The temperature is now seen as the heat. Okay, so the heat is generated and is transferred to the surrounding medium by conduction through the solid dielectric and by radiation from its outer surfaces. Okay, so what I mean in general is, when you, first thing is, you have to, when you apply the electric current, because of this, sorry, electric field, because of this electric field, application of high electric field, okay, you have small amount of conduction current generated or flowing in the dielectric. Because of this, there is a temperature rise in the dielectric. Because of this temperature rise, there will be the heat generated. This heat generated will be transferred to the surrounding mediums either by conduction or by radiation. Understood what is this slide all about?
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay. Right? Now, see, uh, you assume, you consider there is a solid dielectric. Okay, this is a solid dielectric. Okay, and I'm giving it with a, I'm supplying it with high voltage DC. Okay, I'm supplying this with high voltage DC. Okay, so again the same principle, when you give it a high voltage, the conduction current will flow, okay, and the heat will be generated, correct? So this heat generated because of the application of high voltage DC, okay, is given as WDC equal to E square sigma watt per centimeter cube. Okay, where E is the applied voltage, magnitude of the applied voltage, and sigma specifies the conductivity of the specimen. Okay, whatever solid material you have used, sigma is the conductivity of that material. Okay, understood up till here? What is this equation all about? Equation 1.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay, so this is the heat generated under DC field, okay, or DC stress E. Okay, now similarly you consider second case where I have the solid specimen which is provided by a high voltage AC. Okay, this is given by a HV AC. Okay, so because of this, again I have the conduction current setup, okay, which increases the temperature and because of this you have generation of heat. Okay, so this was my equation 1. Now I am talking about the AC field, okay, given to the solid dielectric. Okay, in this case what happens, again the heat is generated. Okay, so the heat generated is given as WAC is equal to E square, where E is the RMS value or magnitude, okay, of the HVAC which you are giving. F would be the frequency of the supply. This is epsilon R, the relative permittivity. Okay, tan delta. Delta is the loss angle, okay, of the dielectric material, the solid dielectric which we are using, okay, divided by 1.8 into 10 power 12 watt per centimeter cube. This is my second equation. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is the equation for heat when you give the AC field or when the solid dielectric is subjected to the AC fields. Okay, now see, these two equations are for heat generated. Okay, these two equations are for heat generated either by DC field or by AC field. Okay, now this heat generated, okay, you know law of conservation of energy. Okay, so this heat generated, okay, has to be, it is restored, right? Energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. Okay, so this heat generated now will be seen as the heat dissipated. Okay, so now heat dissipated is given as WT. Okay, you all are understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Shivraj. Okay. Shivraj is here. Okay, right. Huh. Okay, so now this heat generated has to be dissipated to the environment. Okay, as we have seen in the last slide. See, the heat generated, the heat generated is transferred to the surrounding by either conduction or by radiation, correct? So this heat which is generated either by DC or by AC has to be dissipated. Okay, so this heat dissipated is given with WT, which is equal to CV. CV is specific heat of the specimen. Whichever specimen we are considering, it is specific heat of that specimen. Okay, d by dt of T, where capital T is temperature rise of the specimen, whatever temperature rise it has seen. Okay, and small t, just a minute. Okay, and small t, what you are seeing here, okay, the temperature rise, we are differentiating it with respect to the total time over which the heat is dissipated, okay, plus K gradient of T, okay, K gradient of T. So, this K is thermal conductivity of the specimen and T, I said you, it is temperature rise of the specimen. Clear? This is the equation for heat dissipated. Okay. Now, equilibrium is reached when the heat generated becomes equal to the heat dissipated. Okay. See, this means what? Okay, this means if your WAC or WDC, y'all are, it's visible, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it means what here? If WAC or WDC, if they become equal to WT. Okay, if WAC, heat generated either by AC or DC stress, becomes equal to the heat dissipated, this is the condition where my material achieves equilibrium state. Okay, it means what? There will, breakdown of that material will not take place in this condition. Understood? Yes, is that understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, according to the thermal breakdown theory, if your WAC or WDC exceeds the WT, okay, if WAC or WDC exceeds the WT, this is the case when the breakdown of solid dielectric takes place. Understood now? What is the condition for breakdown in case of thermal breakdown? Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is all about your thermal breakdown. Okay. And this is the graph. Okay. So this graph shows the thermal instability in the solid dielectrics, okay, which is plotted across temperature against temperature and heat generated or heat dissipated, heat loss. Okay, so you can see two curves, E1 and E2. Okay, so we'll consider E2. Okay, where see E1 and E2 are different fields. Okay, so electric fields, different electric fields. What you can see this straight line. Okay, you can see this straight line. Okay, so this straight line, we say this is the straight line for heat lost. Okay, the heat lost is shown by a straight line in this graph. Okay, and the heat generated are shown by these two curves E1 and E2. Okay, given at different fields E1 and E2. These are the heat generated. Okay, so see, this is the case. Okay, this is the case, right? At the field E2, I'm considering E2 curve is passing through this straight line. Okay, at the temperatures TA and TB. You are understanding? You are understanding what is this graph all about?
Yes, ma'am.
So see, here I have shown you I told you this is the graph, okay? So here I have shown you the curve E2 which is passing through the heat lost, okay? This is the point where my temperatures are equal, okay? TA and TB. So this is the case of thermal equilibrium, okay? So at thermal equilibrium, I will not have the breakdown of the solid dielectric. Okay, the solid dielectric breakdown only takes place if my heat generated is greater than the heat lost. Okay, this is all about thermal breakdown. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, everyone, any doubts in this? Okay, Bhumika, I think you are too late for the class today. Okay, so this completes the breakdown in solid dielectrics. Just to brush up the things who all have come late, right? See, thermal breakdown, I'm repeating this only for the people who, if you have not understood, okay? Thermal breakdown is all about this. I'll summarize. Okay, this I'll summarize. Okay, for thermal breakdown, you need to understand two conditions. First condition or first case is when you have a solid dielectric supplied by a DC field. Okay, supplied by a high voltage DC field. Okay, this is HV DC. Okay, so when the dielectric is supplied by a DC field or high voltage field, what happens? Because of the DC field, okay, when you apply the field, you have the conduction current flowing. Okay, you have the conduction current flowing, because of this conduction current, you have increase in temperature. Increase in temperature gives you heat generated. This heat generated should be transferred to the surrounding. Okay. So this heat generated by HVDC is given by the equation WDC equal to E square sigma watt per centimeter cube. Okay. Similarly, case 2, I consider the same dielectric is subjected to the high voltage AC fields, high voltage AC field. Now again, because of this high voltage field, you have the conduction current flowing and the increase in the temperature. This increase in the temperature causes heat generation. This heat generation should be again dissipated to the surrounding. Okay, so this AC field is given as WAC equal to E square, which is magnitude of electric field applied. F is frequency of the supply voltage. ER is the relative permittivity, and tan delta is the loss angle tangent. Okay, divided by 1.8 into 10 power 12 watt per centimeter cube. Okay, so here, this is the case when I given HVDC. Okay. Now, this heat generated should be, see, heat generated by these two equations should be dissipated to the surrounding either, see, either by conduction or by radiation. Okay. So, that heat dissipated to the surrounding is given by WT, which is Stevie standing for specific heat of the specimen. Then the temperature rise capital T is differentiated with respect to the overall time which the heat is dissipated, right? K is the thermal conductivity of the specimen and T is the temperature rise. Okay. Now, according to the thermal breakdown theory, if WAC, heat generated by either AC or DC, becomes equal to the heat dissipated or heat lost, my solid dielectric will not see any breakdown. Okay, it will be attaining the equilibrium state. However, if the heat generated by AC or DC, if they exceed the heat lost, then the breakdown of the solid dielectric takes place. Okay. Understood everyone? This is the overall summary of thermal breakdown in the solid dielectrics. Everyone, you have understood this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. So this is all about, so this completes your module 1. Okay, this is all about breakdown in, okay, this is all about breakdown in solid, liquid and gaseous dielectrics. Okay, any of the topic in module 1 you want me to explain? Yes? Any topic in this module you want me to explain? Answer in the chat box, please, as I am not able to hear you.
Ma'am, problems are only from gaseous breakdown, ma'am.
Either here they are not, even in previous year question papers, right? Numerical, generally they ask on Townsend's theory. Okay. No other part is having numerical. Even the previous year question papers, what I have given you the numericals, only those are appearing. Okay. Anything else? Past tense में. Okay, this was your, we started with here Townsend's equation. Okay, this is important. Townsend's first ionization and second ionization coefficient ka derivation is important. Okay, you have to be good with the derivation. See, this is the derivation for current growth in presence of secondary process where we derive for gamma. Okay, here we derive for gamma. Okay. Now, this is Townsend's criteria for breakdown. Right, gamma epsilon d, sorry, gamma into alpha d equals to 1. Okay, this is the Townsend's criteria for breakdown. Okay, this is the visualization of Townsend's theory. Right, there were drawbacks of with the Townsend's theory. Hence, Rater, Meek and Loeb independently they proposed the streamer theory. Okay, this was your streamer theory where the electron avalanche, okay, this was the electron avalanche where electrons moved at the faster rate as compared to my positive ions or the positrons. Okay, and this is how you could visually see the current streamer between cathode and anode. Okay. Right, then we started with the Paschen's law. Okay, for Paschen's law, see, Paschen's law merely say that the breakdown is function of P pressure and the D gap length. Okay, that is your Paschen's law. Okay, only if you are talking about only the statement, okay, if you are talking only about the statement, it just states or the Paschen's law just relates V and PD. Okay, that you have to remember. So to prove that V is a function of P and D, we start or we take help of the Townsend's criteria for breakdown. Okay. So we see here, right, these alpha and gamma, right, were the coefficient. Alpha was the Townsend's first ionization coefficient, which is taken to be function of electric field and the pressure. So alpha by P was Fe by P. Okay, this I substituted. Okay, this I had substituted here. So I get this equation where I have considered gamma again. Okay, taking ln on both sides, we get f of EP by E by P into PD equals to ln of 1 by gamma plus 1. Let me assume it as one more constant K. Okay, now for the uniform fields, okay, E equals to VB by D. VB was your breakdown voltage, E is the electric field supplied, and D is the gap length. Okay, so therefore, when you simplify this, okay, when you simplify this, you would get this K by PD is a function of VB by P into D. Okay, so what I did, I removed these, see, since K is a constant, okay, since K is a constant, what I did, I replaced this small f, which is a function, by a capital F. Okay, so VB is a function, breakdown voltage is a function of pressure and the gap length D. Okay, so this is what VB equals to F into PD is nothing but my Paschen's law. Okay, this is also called as the sparking potential or the Paschen's law. So when you are asked for the Paschen's law, you are starting from the derivation for Townsend's criteria. You are deriving up till this equation. where the breakdown voltage is expressed as a function of P and D, and you are explaining this curve, where this curve says that there is a different minimum voltage, okay, VB minimum is different for different types of gases which you are taking. Okay, is that clear? Paschen's law. Paschen's law is understood.
Yes, ma'am.
Varsha.
Yes, ma'am. Understood, ma'am.
Okay, right. So this was analytical expression. Okay, this is okay, that you can leave. Okay, so up till here what we had done was your gaseous dielectrics. Okay, in gaseous dielectrics we know if the field exceeds too much, you can see the corona discharges. Okay, uniform field and non-uniform field. Okay, then we went on with conduction and breakdown process in liquid dielectrics. Liquid dielectrics classified as pure liquids and commercial liquids. Okay, and the characteristics of liquid dielectrics. See, some of the characteristics I have done here, written here. This will include the viscosity also. Okay, the pressure also, right? The electrical properties of the liquid dielectrics to be used in the high voltage application. Okay, then there are classification pure liquids and commercial liquids. So breakdown in pure liquids, as such there is, see here I have mentioned that exact mechanism of current growth is not known in case of pure dielectrics, pure liquid dielectrics. So we take help of Townsend's theory to explain breakdown in the liquid dielectric. Okay, Townsend's theory we use here, right? So if you can analyze this, this was your ohmic region, saturation region, and the temperature rise region. Okay, then we went with the conduction and breakdown in commercial liquids, because see in our HV application most of the liquids which we use are commercial liquids. So more stress on breakdown phenomena in commercial liquids is being given. Here we studied suspended particle theory, cavitation and bubble theory, and the stressed oil volume theory. Okay, these things were clear. This theory was clear, everyone. Was this clear? Commercial liquids. Okay. Okay. Then see, whichever theory you have been asked, you need to explain that theory with the help of equation. Okay, without equation you cannot explain any theory. Okay, and this was your stressed oil volume theory. Okay, then we started with breakdown in solid dielectrics, right? We saw intrinsic breakdown, which is electronic breakdown and avalanche or streamer breakdown. There are two types in intrinsic breakdown. Okay, intrinsic breakdown, if you can see here in the graph, it takes place at the lesser time span. Okay, here somewhere I have mentioned of the order of 10 power minus 8 seconds. Okay, intrinsic breakdown. Okay, then we dealt with avalanche breakdown and electronic breakdown. Okay, avalanche, or because of this figure it's also called as streamers breakdown. Okay, then we saw what is electronic breakdown, and we dealt with electromechanical breakdown. We finished this topic with the thermal breakdown. Okay, I hope these things were clear, everyone. Yes? Everyone, this was clear? Module 1 was clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. So tomorrow's class will start with the next module. Right? So you all can quit the class.